Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Sunday talk within the Nine-Sided Circle. I am your host, Noor Kyle.
And I am her faithful sidekick, Mushtaq Ali.
Yes, and here we are with a really cool group this evening. Not that we don't always have a cool group, but it's fun when we have new people joining us. And we know this evening is enticing to some of you because we have Gurdjieff in the title. That's cool. Welcome, welcome. Whether you're here live or watching on the replay, it's wonderful to be in your company. And got to do our YouTube opener. We invite you to like this video or comment or subscribe to our channel or do all three of those things. All of those help us continue to do what we do to reach more people, to help more people wake up. That's really the main thing that matters to us.
Yeah, and we have a special this week. You can like our videos for free.
Yes. With that said, though, we do welcome donations in support of our work as this is the primary avenue through which we do, how we do our thing in the world. This is how we make our living and this is how we contribute. So we always appreciate donations in support of our work. But if you would like a more formal exchange, we do offer one-on-ones and two-on-ones if you'd like private support in doing your spiritual work, doing
That's
your
right. You can pay us to gang up on you.
That's right, but we'll do it in your best interest. That's the key. So, what am I missing? We have our Facebook group, we have our Instagram. Those are two very useful avenues through which you can connect with us or get involved in our community. But I also continually encourage people to join our email list because who knows what happens with Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. But email is there. And some of you recently have noticed that our automatic replies for signups weren't working. I have remedied that. Things should be in order now. Thank you so much for your help with that. So, anything I've missed, Mushtaq?
Nothing important.
Okay, great. So, onward and upward. Our topic this evening, we are going to talk about a practice that Gurdjieff never covered, but that we think each and every one of us will find deeply meaningful and useful.
We're pretty sure he knew this practice, but I can find, and I've actually dug through all of his writings, and I can't find any reference to it, which I find unusual.
I mean, any thoughts about why that might be? Not
It
that you have
was,
to have the
yeah, he was
ultimate
keeping it
answers.
hidden because it works too quickly. Seriously. He wanted everything to take a long time and be really, really hard.
Hard work, super efforts, 24/7.
Yeah.
Okay.
This practice it requires some hard work, but the results are pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Learning it, integrating it, those are processes unto themselves that deserve the time that they take, don't they?
Yeah. And I'm assuming that we don't have to explain to everybody who the heck Gurdjieff was. He was this um, maybe Greek, maybe Georgian, maybe this, maybe that guy who lived in the late 19th and early 20th centuries and went around collecting stuff from interesting people. And then he moved to Russia and started a school.
Yeah.
And lots of people love his work.
Hmm. Still very, I mean, continues to be relevant to today, clearly, because
Yes.
the interest is self-evident. All right.
So we start with a question. How long is now?
Isn't that a song?
If it isn't, it should be. Mert, it should be a song.
I will make the song.
Excellent. So how long is now?
Um, I have interesting to me thoughts on this. I think it's anywhere from a nanosecond to a lifetime, but I think a more conventional answer is it's a breath.
All of those are good answers. From one perspective, now is immediate. It's like it's one dimensional. It's just here. But our perceived now, and I didn't say perceived because I wanted you all to come up with interesting answers. Our perceived now is between 1 and 3 seconds for most people, most of the time. And you can check that. Everybody just get nice and comfortable. Make sure your head is pointing upward and your face is pointing forward. And notice when you can find this moment and how long it takes for this moment to become last moment. So you kind of have to stay in the present and notice when the present is not what it was 2 seconds ago, 3 seconds ago. And you'll notice, all of you, something happens when you do this. We call it attentional blinks. As you are holding your space in the now and noticing its duration, its time space, your mind wandered off at some point. Just kind of went over here, over there. Like, what's he talking about? What am I going to have for dinner? All of that kind of stuff. Whatever it is, you were distracted into thoughts that did not exist within the now. That is your attentional blink. We all get them. As far as I can tell, they never go away. You will always have them. Does this make sense? So go back, see if you can find the present moment, the point in your experience that is now, and keep your consciousness there. Breathing helps with this. You can have a little bit of attention on your breathing and the rest of it on the present moment. You'll be able to hold it a little bit longer. And then notice when you get your attentional blink. And when you've had your first attentional blink, raise your hand. Nobody's looking. Yeah. When that happens, you have to pull yourself back to the present moment. Go, oh, I had an attentional blink back here. Now, here's the fun thing. The longer you do this, the harder it is to continue doing it. If you can imagine your attention as a muscle, it starts out weak and it wears out very, very quickly. Most people's attention is minuscule. And this was something that one of the things that makes me think that Gurdjieff had to have known this exercise is because he talked about that. He talked about, people's attention being almost non-existent. So, what do we have now? We have the ability to find ourselves in the present moment. We can breathe to help ourselves stay there. We're going to go away because it's like you're trying to hold up a heavy weight. And eventually you're going to get tired and it's going to come down. But when it does, you can push it back up again. You can go, oh, I'm going to bring myself back to the present moment attention. So you notice from the present moment, you will have a sense of what came before and what is coming up.
Okay. Sorry about that, everyone.
No worries, that happens all the time.
Apparently, my now is very brief. So,
And if you need to keep your signal stronger by, keeping your camera off some of the time, that's okay too. So it's up to you. Hey Mushtak, could you make me a host, please?
I thought I did that.
It's okay.
I know I was trying to do it.
Yeah. There it goes. Okay. We're back in business. So, present moment.
Present moment. So we call that which is just past the residue. That which is about to come, the anticipation. These are important to when we get to the actual practice. This is not the practice yet. This is the tools that you need to do the practice. So Gurdjieff talks about split attentions. This is one of the ways to split the attention, to sit in the now and be aware of the residual, that which is just past, and be aware of the anticipation, that which is coming in the next moment. Does that make sense? You got one thumbs up. Yeah, you are not required to just buy into everything that we say about this. So questions are always welcome.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I'm distinguishing between the past moment and the future moment when I'm doing that. I mean,
Okay. Find the past moment first. It's a little bit easier. It's like 30 seconds ago. Can you remember that? More or less?
with a bit of focusing, yes.
Yeah, good. That's your past moment. Um, the anticipatory moment is a little bit harder to catch for a lot of people. And the way I think of it is you're walking down the street and you see a car in the distance driving towards you. You can anticipate that car getting closer. You can anticipate that car passing you, and then it will pass you in the present moment. It's a little metaphorical, but it works for me.
Yeah, initially thinking more in terms of the past moment being a second and the future being a second. And of course, nothing is changing in my environment. So,
Yeah. But that's basically what it is. A couple of seconds ago versus a couple of seconds in the future. It's very immediate. If you get past that, then you have gone into an intentional blink. So again, if I'm walking down the street and I notice that several steps ahead of me, the sidewalk has tilted because of tree roots or something. Uh, Even if I am in the present, I will be cognizant of that coming into my present as well, so that I don't trip over it.
Yeah. Um, I think for me, one of the difficulties in doing this kind of exercise is how do we prevent ourselves from going into kind of a sort of a trance state or like a mini trance state where you're not actually paying attention to the
Well,
to
then
the
you have an attentional blink.
hmm.
All of the attentional blinks are trance states. If you are well founded in the present moment and you're not talking to yourself, you're just taking in your environment, you're not in trance. You're just present. Hopefully. If your mind has wandered off somewhere, either to the past, the present, to something wished, something feared, those are trance states.
To the past, to the future,
Yeah,
to yeah. So one thing to think about
that's
this,
a very good question, by the way. Thank you.
yes, and it makes it worthwhile to point out that basically everything outside of being conscious of the present moment is a trance state. That's really our default, and that's why it's so challenging to step out of.
Yeah, and we're habituated to that trance.
Mhm. That's what feels normal to us. That's why it requires this muscle building in order to step out of it. So if you feel
Yeah, and
yourself being,
initially, just being in the present moment, being awake in the present moment, feels so incredibly boring that the ego recoils from it.
it can be tiring in a way,
Yeah,
draining until you, I mean, I guess until you develop some stamina around it, really, it's going to be tiring. All right, so James, you have a thought?
The boredom, the initial boredom, would that be comparable to crossing the equator on the Enneagram?
no, that would be comparable to running up against the first shock at point two
Okay.
and then recoiling for it.
Ah, right.
James is referring to the Enneagram process. For those who aren't familiar, I don't want to just leave that thread out there, but we've done some talks on that if that's a thread that you're curious about. But moving on, Ian.
yeah, this afternoon, one of the things I watched on YouTube was a Buddhist sort of explanation about something, and most of it wasn't that interesting. But one of the things they mentioned, which I don't recall ever hearing about before, was something called the default mode network,
Mm,
Yes,
which is
interesting stuff.
yeah, a whole thing. And it's the way I understood it, I only sort of looked at it. I've got a tab open with more, but I didn't spend a lot of time on it. But it seemed to be this stuff, this networking, let's say networking in the brain that is doing all of our normal stuff when nothing else is happening. I think that's an adequate characterization.
Yeah, close enough. It's an interesting phenomena, and people are just now starting to figure it out. There are some things that we think we understand about it from the practices that we have been given, but I can't say for sure that it's the same thing. But it sure is fun. It's if you know how to use what they call the default mode network, that's where your creativity is. And if you remember just a little while ago, we did a talk on creativity in the work. And that was basically connecting into the default mode network in such a way that it allows you to let the inspiration come up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it surprised me that I'd never heard of it before.
I'm surprised you've never heard of it either. It's been in the news.
Huh,
Yeah.
must
But
have
as far as
different
I'm
news.
concerned, we don't know that much about it yet. We are just on the edge of understanding it.
Yeah, it seemed to me when I just looked at a little bit about it that, oh, that explains a whole lot.
Yep. And it seems to have negative and positive sides to it.
Yeah. It will definitely be interesting to see how that realm of knowledge evolves and how we might be able to incorporate more about it into the work that we do as we learn more.
Yep. Just because our great 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 grandfathers made knives by napping stone and gluing it onto um, a bone handle with some tree gum doesn't mean that that's the best way to do it. You can always find better ways to do things.
Mm. Um,
But sometimes it is the best way to do it. Can't forget that part either.
yeah, as an aside, Dr. RM says the DMN has a role with ADHD, so maybe we'll learn more about that as we go. So, where were we?
Where were we? We were about to reveal the secrets of the universe, and then we forgot what they were.
We
Wait a
went off
minute.
into a trance. All right. Yes, Mert.
I have a question. Why we mentioned about the stamina, and
Stamina,
I
yes.
yes, I observed that when I am in a group, my stamina is higher, and when I am on myself, the attentional blinks appear more often.
When your stamina is high, you say you have more attentional blinks. Is that what you said?
And I didn't say it. I said when I am in a group, my stamina is higher, and this also happens when if I go to a race, to a bike race or a bike riding group, my stamina is higher there too. And it seems to me this group thing just raises the stamina.
Hmm.
That can be an actual thing. Yeah. This is why we recommend people work in groups. This is why Sufis organize themselves into circles. It's way more fun than doing it on your own. And even now, we have to pay more attention when we're here because we have several people who are giving us good ideas and we don't want to miss any of them.
Yep. Thank you for clarifying, Mert. I appreciate that. James says groups can inspire and remind you.
It's true.
This is absolutely true, and that's why we feel so strongly that groups, healthy groups, even if there's challenge within them, groups are important. They can contribute a lot. Halil.
Yeah, there are a lot of clinical studies that show that willpower is a limited resource. It's like energy. So I'm sure that, the attention one devotes to trying to stay in the present moment is connected to that willpower,
Yeah, that's basically the same thing.
right? There's a great book by Baumeister. I don't know if you've heard of it, Willpower, Discovering Our Greatest Strength. I'll put it in the chat, but that's where I learned that about that willpower was something that, you know, comes and goes. It's a limited supply.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you will experience that doing the practice when we get to that. You'll find that when you start and you're fresh, your the time between attentional blinks is pretty broad, pretty wide. As you go along, they get shorter and shorter and shorter until it's extremely difficult to stay out of that blink, to not go into trance.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so the best we can do is build strong, resilient willpower, just as we would do with a body. We have a body, we can make it stronger, but we can not just stronger, we can make it more resilient. We can give it more stamina. We can uh, give it the ability to endure doing what we're doing.
Well, in fact, they're not separate. So these things are integrated. The mind and body are one. But even if I mean, I always try to speak to this, even if we have physical challenges, that does not leave us incapacitated to work on these things. It means we find creative ways to solve the quote unquote problems that we're facing. And that in itself actually helps us build the willpower and the resilience.
Yeah. And the big takeaway from this moment in the talk is that an attentional blink is not failure.
No, definitely not. No, full transparency, I'm experiencing them a lot this evening because I'm in a hormone phase where my focus is just not very sharp right now. But if I can treat that as mm, an opportunity to practice, just like any other opportunity, then there's no failure there. There's no sense of falling short. It's just another, it's like the weather. We can't really do much about the weather, but we have to do what we have to do. We respond to it in a way that makes sense, and we manage. And as people are saying in the chat, yes, RM says, I relate to this. I started exercising and my focus has improved. Also, good sleep, meaning also good sleep helps. So, like I said, these things are integrated in that anything that we do that affects our body is going to affect our consciousness, and vice versa. We forget that part too, but it is also true.
Yeah. And to RM's point, uh, Dr. Jose Medina out of Princeton University wrote a fascinating little book called Brain Rules.
Brain rules.
Brain Rules.
Hmm.
Rule number one in his book is exercise makes you smarter. Not just physical exercise, but physical exercise on up makes you smarter. Because the more endurance you build in anything that you do, the more capacity you have for being awake in that action.
Mm-hmm.
And so this gets us to what the practice actually is. The people with short attention spans have fallen away by now. And so we can tell you, we can let you in on the secret stuff. I'm terrible.
So terrible.
So
Recalcitrant.
terrible. So this is how you do it. First, you get this, you find the sense of the present moment, of the uh, experiential now, and you teach yourself to hold it. Then you take a walk. This is a walking exercise, not running, not bike riding, though you can do this in such things, but I recommend walking. And I recommend that you walk someplace pleasant,
Enjoyable.
enjoyable, uh, safe.
Mm,
Yeah.
whatever that means to you.
Yeah. Yeah. It means you don't go down to Skid Row with dollars hanging out of your pocket.
Or the road outside my house, which
Ooh.
has no sidewalks.
That's
Big
always a
no.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
But go to a park, go someplace that is nice. And you're going to walk. You're not going to walk fast. You're not going to walk slow. You are going to walk at the perfect pace. What's the perfect pace? Your body will tell you. As you're walking, you are going to hold the present moment. And you're going to do that while being aware of your breath and being aware of the movement of your body. 3 different things: present moment, breath, body. Don't do this practice for more than a half an hour. But as you walk, you're going to have your attentional blinks, and your job is to notice when you've blinked and to bring yourself back to the present. Continue on. Nothing new in this. It's how it's organized that makes it a little bit different. So you're walking. You are in the present. You are taking in your environment, and you can feel that sense of this is now. And you can even notice how your now is moving through the timeline, almost like a ship or a little boat on a stream. That's it. That's how it kind of feels to me, like you're in a bubble that is moving down the timeline. I haven't figured out how to reverse the bubble yet, but if I start looking younger, you'll know that I have.
And maybe you'll find your own metaphor once you
Yeah,
get some practice doing this. And
almost undoubtedly.
yeah, once
We
you
want you to
feel
find your
into it. Hmm.
And once you get this down, do it. Do it every day if you can. Do it at least 2, 3 days a week. You can also do it at other times. You'll find out what those times are. I, for instance, like to do it when I'm cooking.
Mm.
I will do my present moment exercise while cooking. I'm convinced that it makes for more delicious food.
Yes, I like to do it while I'm doing my cross stitch.
Yeah. But the walking seems to give it that extra little oomph.
Yeah, all senses are engaged. The whole body is in motion.
So your goal in this exercise, in this practice, is to increase the duration of the moment of now, the perception of now, and to decrease the time that is lost to attentional blinks. We know you're going to blink. You know you're going to blink. It's okay if you blink. Just don't stay there. Now, if you can hold the present moment like this for longer than a minute, you might as well go apply for the Dalai Lama's job. You're doing really good. Another thing you can do, and this is for Kyle, uh, try this while you're going through your Tai Chi form.
Oh yeah, that's another good one.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it will change the way it feels.
Smoother.
Slower.
Hmm.
And it's true what they say, slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Yeah, how did I forget about Tai Chi? That's a good one.
Don't forget about Tai Chi, my dear.
Yeah.
You got a lesson coming up tomorrow.
Hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah.
The Dalai Lama says he's not planning on dying until he's 130, I suppose, to spite the Chinese. So we have a little time to practice.
Yes. Thank you, Halu, for that update. So this is something that you keep doing. You're never done. You're never like, okay, I'm an expert now. I never have to do this again. There's no end point to the amount of refinement you can do.
Yeah.
And even when you get really good at it, you stay sharp, you maintain that resilience by continuing to do it anyway.
Yep. And there is no perfect doing of this.
Mm.
You are, in fact, not only are you not required to be perfect, you are required to be imperfect, because if you were perfect, you would never learn. Perfection is the end of all learning. Think about that for a minute.
I was gonna say, you think the practice is boring. Perfection is boring. Any questions so far? Or thoughts? Kyle, yes.
Um, that's kind of an incredible thing that you said that uh we can kind of keep refining this and refining it and refining it, that the possibilities are almost endless. And one of my previous teachers has described it as like kind of in terms of human evolution. And like as an individual, we're able to evolve much further than we realize. And I think and it's like kind of a shame if we don't, like,
Mm.
if that possibility is there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's much like that little piece of plastic and metal that we all carry around and use to look at cat photos. I mean, that thing is more powerful than the computer that put a man on the moon by several factors. It gives us access to all of the knowledge in the world. It can do amazing calculations. It can allow us to talk to each other like this. All of that stuff. And we use it to look at cat pictures.
Not that those aren't great,
Cat
but
pictures are good.
it's a good metaphor. And thank you, Kyle, for bringing that into the conversation.
Yeah. Now, some people of a Gurdjieffian persuasion might be going, how is this different than self-remembering? And the answer is, in some ways, it's not, but it is. Self-remembering tends to be more inwardly directed, no matter what they say, in my experience. And this does require divided attention. So that's very similar to some of the things that yes.
Yes,
Hey.
Hari.
I remember, Mushtaq, you taught us a slightly different variation of this technique a couple years ago. It had to do with, as I recall, saying some words and then trying to remember, like, I forget now, but I practiced it a few times and I found it extremely effective. You get to that word and you remember that word as part of the now. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about. No,
Uh-huh.
slightly different practice, but very similar.
Mhm.
This is actually easier in my experience. So, how is this different than uh, a lot of the stuff that the fourth way people do and a lot of the stuff that the Sufis do?
Hmm.
First, there's no symbolic framework. We don't use symbols for the now. We don't experience the now. We don't relate the now to the Enneagram or to uh, you know, any kind of thing. It's just the present moment. There's no cosmology. Now does not fit anywhere on the hierarchy of worlds. Uh,
True that now that I think about it. Hmm.
yeah, this is just pure perception of duration and internal feedback to help you recalibrate every time you have an attentional blink. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the talk, my sense is that Gurdjieff knew this. I say that because of some of the things that he said in his writing. And my sense that the reason that he didn't teach it was because it's too easy. There's not enough intentional suffering.
But if you're not suffering, are you even doing anything?
Wow, that's a cosmic.
I mean, in seriousness, we seem to get caught up in this trap, right? Like there's a certain segment of the population in spiritual work of people who loved to have everything be difficult. They feel like that's how you know it's working. If it feels like sandpaper, then you're doing it right. And there's something to be said about, taking on challenges and creating a pearl from the sand grain. We know all about that. We've talked about that before. But not everything needs to be So serious, so painful.
Yeah, and if you're really into suffering, I suggest that you get a gunny sack, make some clothes out of it, send us all of your money so you're completely broke, and then go live under a rock. You'll have it.
We'll cheer you on.
I don't think anybody knows what a gunny sack is anymore.
Is that like an army bag? Like,
No, no, no.
oh, like a grain thing? Like
Most grain
dry
bags are
goods?
cotton. A gunny sack is made out of sisal, which is
Is that
it,
like a rough fiber kind of thing?
it's a very rough fiber. They look a little bit like giant yuccas.
Mm,
When
yeah, that
we lived in
sounds really
Tanzania,
comfortable.
the area that I lived had huge sisal fields. It was a
Mm.
big uh, production area for that. And when I was a kid, they also call them burlap. A burlap bag was referred to as a gunny sack for whatever reason. I have no explanation of why, but that's what it was. And we would put all of our stuff in the gunny sack, throw it over our shoulder, and tote it as a kid.
Mm, cute.
Total non sequitur.
Off into the trance again.
Yep.
Um,
RM asked, can we do this exercise a few minutes, a few times a day rather than 30 minutes? Sure. Why not? Nobody's going to hold a gun to your head and say, do it for 30 minutes.
straight.
Yeah. No, do what works for you. That's a cosmic idea. Do what works for you.
Mm,
Don't do what I tell you to do unless I tell you what works for you. Or if I tell you to go live under a rock and send us all your money, you can do that.
Any thoughts? Yes, Ho says, man cannot do, quoting Gurdjieff. Oh, wait, I could suffer.
Yeah.
Well, that's often how it seems to manifest, but we can do better than that. I know we can.
So
So,
I'm going to go over the practice step by step.
okay. Yeah, then we'll have a little bit more time
Yeah.
for
Choose a nice, pleasant, safe route. Walk with your whole body relaxed. Keep your attention inside the now while walking. When attention blinks, note it, return. Track movement, not mystical states. This is important. One of the things that your ego will do is it will give you mystical states to distract you from the now. Did you know that mystical states are basically just distractions? That's going to piss some people off, but it's true. Uh, Notice duration in recovery. Practice this like a musician practices scales. And if you want, at the end of your walk, you can keep a walking journal. Some people say that that's useful. Now, you can also practice this while we are talking to each other in conversation. You can be totally present. You have to be a little careful because if you're too present with somebody you're talking with, it will freak them out a little bit.
kind of staring into their
Yeah,
soul.
don't stare at them. Yeah, remember to keep the persona on. Uh, but practice it in conversation. Practice it while eating. Find places that you can pull yourself into this state throughout the day. And you have to realize that this state of the now is not a peak experience. It is a ground. It is your actual ground.
Mm-hmm.
This does not cancel out any other practices that you might enjoy doing. Do whatever makes you happy and add this to it if this makes you happy. And if it doesn't make you happy, make it make you happy.
Willpower, I guess.
I always thought I should change my name to Willpower.
Oh, no. James.
Now, I imagine a lot of people are going to ask, what's the point of this? Like, what is the follow-on effect? How does it have, any effect on other aspects of my being? How does it feed into spirituality? Da 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 da. Like, why do this? Why do this
Hmm.
Yeah,
seemingly
why do
austere
it?
and boring process?
My answer is why not? Why not do it? Why not teach yourself to be present?
Hmm. But people coming to this for the first time are going to ask, but why be present?
Um, no reason.
Deliberately asking a provocative question here, shamelessly and unabashed.
Well,
But
I mean,
there's no reason. Be present if you find that useful. If you find living in the dream useful, you can have that.
yeah. I think one of the best ways to answer that question, fortunately or unfortunately, is experientially.
Yeah. But the thing is, unlike some teachers, we are not going to tell you that you are broken just because you're living your life in a trance. It's perfectly all right for you to live your life in a trance. If that's what you want, we support that. We
Yeah.
don't want you to wake up unless you really want to wake up. If you really want to wake up, if you really want to learn to be present, if you really want to learn to live in the undistracted now, if you want to learn to live uh, a way that is unconditioned, then welcome to the club. But it's not required of you,
Mm.
and there's no shame. So the answer is why do I do this? Because I want to do it. It's the only answer I got.
Uh, I would also say
Yeah.
Yeah.
you
Did you
do it
freeze, Brian?
during
Oh,
the same walks. I mean, because that's when you're taking in your
You're breaking up really bad, Rob.
environment. You know what I mean? They're taking in your oh no.
Yeah, just when you have something really important to say that we all need to hear, Satan moves
Hello?
into Zoom and messes it up for us. Hate it when that happens. Maybe you can type in your thought because I personally really want to hear it.
yeah, damn. Maybe he'll come. I hope Brian comes back. Let me read what's in the chat and then we'll hear from Jermaine while we wait for Brian to come back, God willing. All right. Khalil says, why listen to music? I mean, yes, that's another side to this coin, right? There's something about it that we enjoy, that we feel drawn to, that we're compelled by, and it is inspiring, and all of those things, all of which can be said about this work as well. That won't be true for everyone, but for many of us, it is. It in fact is. So, um, RM says, I am planning to do it, meaning this practice early in the morning and in the afternoon and in evening to kind of do resets. Morning ones with walk, afternoon and evening with yoga poses. What a
Yeah.
good idea. Go for it. I hope everybody.
When I would do this
Hmm.
back in the day when I was doing rounds.
Oh, yeah. You're
Yeah.
moving anyway, right?
I'm moving anyway, and I have to be present because I'm doing rounds in a psych ward.
Mm-hmm.
So not being present is ill-advised.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, James says, I personally suspect it feeds some things and starves others.
Yeah. Brian, you're back. Tell us what you were saying. We were really
Yeah. Yeah, I was just saying how we spoke in the beginning about how being in the now is taking in the present moment.
Mhm.
And when you're saying like, why do you practice? Is because we can practice on safe walks where we're already familiar with the environment. But if something, we get in a situation where it's suddenly a dangerous walk, where we really need to take our in the environment, that is, could be the difference between you actually staying safe or being in more danger. So you practice during the safe times, so when the dangerous times come, you're more able to, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Yeah. I mean, you've sharpened your ability to stay in the moment and stay aware of the information coming in through your senses. If you can do that
It,
under normal circumstances.
exactly. And Mishtak had mentioned the relation to self-remembering. There's a lot to be said about how we're much more able to self-remember when we're in difficult situations or when we're in tense situations.
Mm.
It's like an instinctual thing that kicks in. It's like, it makes us way more present if you are riding the public transit in a bad part of town versus driving your car by yourself in a nice part of town. You know what I mean? So I think you practice when conditions are under your control. So when they're not under your control, you have experience and you can stay grounded and centered, as you said.
Love that. Could not agree more. Thanks, Brian.
Sure.
Jermaine, thank you for waiting so patiently.
Sorry, I'm getting used to everything.
All good.
No, I love what Brian just said in relation to self-remembering, and um, I think one of the points of self-remembering, or even this practice, is to sort of break us out of our conditional sort of responses, our pre-programmed responses, so that we can perceive directly. And that sort of, you know, reminds me of James's question, why do we do this, or why should we do this? Because as we were taught, as I was listening to the description of the practice, I was trying to think of, where am I going to fit this into my life?
Mhm.
When am I going to find a time to do this? And, what's the value of doing this? And how do I fit that into the hierarchy of all the different things that I have to do during the day? And to me, that's also related to suffering, because I'm kind of coming down from New York City mode, where I feel like if I'm not doing in a directly, quote unquote productive way, then it's a waste of my time. And for me, you know, I don't know, I just started, with this group. This is my first day. And for me not to talk is sort of a kind of suffering, So suffering comes in lots of different flavors. Not to be sort of on, New York City on all the time is a challenge, you know, and it's a kind of suffering. So, and one last thing I'll say about, the idea of intentional suffering, I always thought that was the value of sort of the neologisms that Gurdjieff uses, because he wraps up conscious labor and intentional suffering into that one phrase, that being part dog duty, you know? So those are things that are, those two things are connected, and it's not either of the two. It's a third thing. So it's not sort of suffering in the sense that, you know, self-flagellation, you know, and it's not like, you know, it's a different kind of, it's a different kind of suffering. It's kind of a suffering with your own sort of habitual responses that you've built up over time. And, you know, taking that time to kind of, you know, to intentionally devote it to something that, you know, doesn't seem necessarily productive, at least for me. Um, you know, that would take a lot of work. So I think that's all I have to say about that. I'll stop rambling now.
Thank you, Jermaine. RM was saying that you know, she agrees with what you were saying early on in that, and she says she feels this exercise will help with dealing with her own biases. Um, yeah. I'll read what you do. You want to just speak what you wanted to share, or you want me to read this and then you can do that? Why don't you come on, Khalil? Sorry, I was talking to you. I meant you.
Just responding to what Jermaine said
Yeah, yeah.
about Gurdjieff got that idea to use all kinds of very difficult to pronounce mixtures of Greek, Armenian, Russian, and other words from these literary theorists, Shklovsky and Jakobson, who spoke about the salutary benefits of making things difficult.
And
There
he
you go.
mastered that part of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I also wanted to say real quick to what James was saying about why do this practice. Some cognitive scientists have found, they did a study asking people who were in very happy relationships, would you prefer, if your spouse or your partner was having an affair, would you prefer not to know and remain happy? Or would you prefer that you would know even though it would be painful and probably destroy your relationship? And almost everybody categorically said they would rather know the truth, which just goes to show that it's better to live painfully in reality for most people than to live a lie, you know.
Yeah, it's funny that there wasn't the third choice.
Which was
To know and be perfectly happy with it. Think about that for a moment. You notice how that's never a choice.
Yeah, I've always actually been a fan of open relationships since my 20s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Done well, it can work. Most
It,
people approach it from a place of sleep, which, you know, can be troublesome, but it can
Yeah.
be done. You
Yeah,
were going to say, Ian?
back in the day, I had a friend whose name was Morning Glory Zell.
Ah,
He
yes.
was the person who coined the term polyamory. And she and the group around her seemed to make that work just fine. Just a thought.
Hmm.
Just remember, when presented with two choices, there's always a third.
well, there was that small minority who said they wouldn't mind. It was the majority who said they
Yeah.
would rather know the truth. But yeah, right. I
Yeah.
think that was probably that polyamorous minority.
yeah, I was in fact about to mention that for a while, I think it was sometime in the 90s that I subscribed to a polyamory magazine that's called Loving More. I remember that. And
Cool.
I even went to one of their conferences up in upstate New York somewhere. It was interesting. I didn't stay with it all that long, but as an organized group, but
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
interesting.
Hmm.
Just remember, whatever configuration of human beings you can imagine has probably already been done, and there have been books written about it.
Yep.
Khalil, I wanted to ask you, um, in Russian, I have been told and I believe this to be true, that sometimes when Gurdjieff wrote about work and suffering, he would say intentional suffering and conscious work, and sometimes he would say conscious suffering and intentional, or yeah,
Like reverse them,
yeah, he would
the
reverse it.
adjectives.
Yeah, and that whoever edited the English uh, just made it all one phrase.
Well, that would have been Orage at first. I mean, the suffering is stradania, which is interesting in itself because stradania is rooted in the Slavic word for passion. So
Mm.
it's both intentional passion and intentional suffering, which you don't get that subtlety in English. But yeah, that's true. Well, there were several. I think there were 3 or 4 editions. The first of which only Araj edited. I forget who the editors of the later ones were. We'd have to look up how they did that. But yeah, that's pretty much true.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's an important nuance, isn't it? I
Hmm.
saw Jermaine nodding as well, so
yeah.
this
We
is
are such
definitely
a
something.
polyglot community. It's one of my favorite things about these meetings. We got people who can answer questions in 10 different languages.
Thank you, Khalil. Ah. Did I miss anything in the chat? Yes, James says, polygamists, those workaholics of the heart. Yeah, to be sure. All right. Any last thoughts or questions? Do you have anything, Mushtaq, that you wanted to offer up?
Uh, do this.
Do this
Report back.
thing.
Yeah,
Try
do
it
this
out.
thing. Report back.
Hmm.
Let us know if we're crazy. I mean, I've been doing this for years, and I find it one of my favorite practices.
Hmm. Hmm. Any last thoughts or questions? I know, Khalil, we have to give you a moment
Yeah,
of spotlight too. I haven't forgotten about
everybody hang on.
it. Yeah. Is there anyone we haven't heard from? Yes. Cherie or Naz, would you like to share any thoughts before we wrap up?
Okay. When you were talking about the car coming towards you and then being present and then going ahead of time, I was thinking, I want to be in the car. I want to be in the car. So
Mm.
that's, and then you said be in the bubble. And I thought, yep, that's exactly right. And the person who introduced me to the group, Dave, he came home after meeting you at Mushtaq and said that about the walking meditation and just doing that, just doing that. And so I did it with a lot of different things. And my husband said, you do sock meditation. So I said, sock meditation, what are you talking about? He said, I've watched you. He said, you get all the socks and you line them all up and then I fold them and I make them all stand up straight. And and I said, yes, it's the way that's how I like to do things. And you're there doing socks, just socks. And then when I'm cooking, he said, you do it when you're cooking too. He said, because I catch him, I look at him and I go, what are you looking at? He goes, you're always right there when you're cooking, right there. I go, yes. And it actually makes the experience of whatever it is that I'm involved with very deep, which I really like. So that's it's not all suffering, but yeah, sometimes I capture that sense of a deep experience, and I like it, and then I lose it. So yeah, it's like, yeah, you're practicing all the time. So it could be socks, it could be cooking, it could be cleaning. I just did it today, cleaning the bathtub, and I just thought, yeah, just like just catching myself. There's so many things you could do for practice, and that's why I really enjoyed today's talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cherie. All right, Khalil, would you like to share with us?
We have a special public service announcement from Khalil today.
Great. Well, it was all thanks to you because it was about, I think, 2 years ago. I don't know. Whenever I got started with this group, um, Miss Noor held up a book, a big fat book. This is the book actually she held up.
Oh,
Peter
what is this?
Kestenbaum's The New Image of the
Yes.
Person.
Yes.
And I am a sucker for wise, beautiful women reading big fat books. So as soon as that book was held up, I had to have it. So I ordered it and read it. And in this book, Peter Kestenbaum, who I believe was your teacher, right, Mushtaq?
My teacher,
Yes,
yeah.
he's a professor.
Right. He talks about clinical philosophy, not
Yes.
clinical psychology, clinical philosophy, which is actually a thing, which I
Yes.
learned because I was, as you know, I was in the midst of getting my master's degree in philosophy from San Francisco State, which I just finished in May.
Golf clap.
And what you have to actually do, there are two requirements to do clinical philosophy. You have to have an MA in philosophy or psychology, and you have to be certified by the American Philosophical Practitioners Association, one among two different certifying boards to practice, to be a practitioner of philosophy. So I did it. I went to the 24-hour training course after I got my MA, and I am now a certified philosophical practitioner thanks to this book
Oh,
and
how
your
exciting.
recommendation.
That is very,
Yay.
I tell
Thank
Congratulations.
you.
yeah,
Thank
the
you.
world needs you right now, man.
Yay. You're getting all kinds of claps.
Yeah,
Says congrats, Khalil, mashallah. So
MashaAllah.
we are
good.
happy to celebrate that
So
milestone.
have you
So
hung up your shingle yet?
I'm just getting started on my website and getting registered as with California with this is my tentative name of my practice is going to be Aletheity Philosophical Practice.
Exciting.
As soon as it's up, let us know and we'll plug you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And again, I just want to thank you and especially Mushtaq for turning me on to Peter Kestenbaum because
Yeah.
there's so much depth in this clinical philosophy thing that you wouldn't even believe it.
Yeah, he's the man who taught me how to think. I met him at age 23. I was living up in the Santa Cruz Mountains, just like literally swinging through the trees. And then this girl grabbed me and drugged me down there to San Jose State University, where he was teaching then, and arranged to have a private session with him. And I was hooked from that moment. He became the most important mentor in my life. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And his legacy continues.
yep.
Wonderful. That is wonderful news. Ha! Nice way to end. Yes. All right then. Let's go to Brady Bunch mode. Have we done that already, Mushtaq?
Not yet. I was waiting for you to tell me what to do. Remember, I'm the sidekick.
All right.
There we go.
Okay. Well, thank you so much to everyone. Thank you for sharing your milestones with us. Thank you for coming here, being brave enough to show up as new folks, new faces. And it's just been lovely. Thank you. So we can wave to each other, wave to everyone watching on the replay. And God willing, we will see you next week. Take care.